Look, I've grown a coaching business to over $1.7 million by the age of 21, and there's a lot of things that I've had to personally change that's helped me get there. So in today's video, I've compiled 5 things that you can do today that's really gonna help you maximize your 20s so that you can avoid what I like to call becoming a washed up older. So stick until the end. Number 1 is get fit. I can't describe what going to the gym has basically done for me. You know, when I first dropped out of high school to focus on building my business, I was really unfit, out of shape. You know, I used to struggle with energy, I used to struggle with discipline, I'd get burnt out a lot quicker, and it just became a lot more challenging to grow my business to where it needed to be, right? And I noticed something, you know, when I did start going to the gym, even just lightly with a couple of my friends, you know, not only did I get into better shape, but it helped me build a lot more confidence, right? I realized when I would speak to people, they would respect me a lot more, because, you know, as a man, when you're, you know, built or shaped or, you know, a certain type of way, you'll naturally attract a lot more respect. You'll respect yourself more, and it kind of gave me the discipline to push harder in my business. And I think around 2019, when my business started to make some, you know, serious cash flow, the very best investment I ever made was probably hiring my own personal trainer. And this guy was huge, okay? Shout out my trainer. So, you know, I kind of got in the gym with him, and I realized like all this time I haven't really been working out. This is what working out looks like. And I just noticed that when I started to kind of push myself in that one area, like get bigger in the gym, be able to push more weights, you know, your perspective of yourself changes, and the way you see yourself allows you to push new limits, because it's like, I'm able to do this in one area, so it's like, what else can I do in other areas? And I think for me personally, it really did carry over into the business, help me build more disciplines, because to be successful in business, you got to be comfortable, you know, doing things that you don't really feel comfortable doing. And I think there's no better way to develop that trait, develop that skill, than waking up every morning, dragging your ass into the gym and just pushing and pushing and pushing. And then after you get out, you feel kind of like a self-satisfaction, reward, and you feel ready to just kind of take over the world. So number 1 is definitely getting fit. Number 2 is invest into yourself, okay? Some of the best investments that I've personally made in my early teens, you know, my 20s, is books. I know this sounds super cliche, everybody says it, but events, you know, courses that I've purchased, because the way I look at these things is, you know, when I pick up a book, right? This is Traffic Secrets. I do marketing full time. One of the things that allowed me to build my coaching business to my first 5K, 10K, you know, $1 million, etc., was really just learning from what other people were doing, what worked for them, and kind of just duplicating it within my business. Because, you know, you realize that there's something that you want to do, somebody out there has already done it. Like, they've done it for 10 years, they've done it for 20 years, right? They've made all the you know, the mistakes, and they've kind of, you know, to them it's like clockwork, to them it's like second nature. And to be able to tap into that information, if I can't sit down with a multimillionaire and, you know, pick their brain in person, the next best thing is a book that they spent hours and hours or weeks kind of just pouring and dumping their brain into, and everything that they know. And I can pick this knowledge up for as cheap as $10, $20 if you're in the UK, then 10, 20 pounds, and so on and so forth. So definitely think books, number 1. Events, you know, events is where I met a lot of great people, right? You know, I was able to see and physically meet people in person who've achieved something. And then I think the greatest part about that was, you know, seeing that this person is no different to me, right? Like I would spend £1,000, £2,000 in events, just really just everything I made in the beginning, just kind of constantly invest it into myself. And when I started to do that, it made me realize that, look, this person is no different to me. So I think it definitely blesses you with the gift of perspective. And finally, there's a really interesting quote that I heard. And this quote, I remember I heard it like 5-6 years back, and it really opened up my eyes, because I was like, this is true, right? So the person said, the information to make, you know, to make $1 million, you're gonna pay either way, right? You're either gonna pay money to access the information that you need, or you're gonna pay through, you know, your time, right? So somebody said, look, the information to make $1 million is readily available for 50 grand. Someone makes $1 million a year, you go to them and pay them 50 grand for a week, for a month of their time, etc. They will give you the information that they've used to basically build and grow that sort of income. So, you know, invest into yourself, whether it's your environment, your appearance, your surroundings. All these things are like super important. So if you're somebody who's not sure of, like, you know, where do I start when it comes into investing into myself, I'm so new to all of this, I'd say the best place that you can really start investing into is your mindset. Because once you build an unbreakable mindset, there's very little that can really phase you. Like when I take a loss, you know, Z and I, so he's my business partner, there was a December, I think 2019, I took about a 6-figure loss, okay? And that was difficult to deal with, because my first like real difficult loss in business. But I think because because I did most of the foundation work with working on my mindset, learning like, okay, well, you can get over a loss as easy as you made it, as easy as you lost it, you can kind of just make it back. It really helped me kind of strengthen myself. And if there's 3 books I recommend for a lot of you guys starting out, whether you read the book, read the YouTube summary, you know, just pick up the audiobook, it's number 1, Think and Grow Rich. And that really taught me the 13 key principles of what it takes to make money, right? What it takes to achieve your goals. And it did a research and a study of the 500 most successful people in history and broke down the 13 things that they all have in common that has allowed them to get to where they are. So pick that book up ASAP. Number 2 was definitely Compound Effect. And it showed me that the smallest things that you do make the biggest impact. Like if I eat, you know, if I go gym one day a week, like every single day, right? Like that is going to compound into a bigger effect, and over a long enough period of time, it's going to create a large enough result. Similarly, on the negative side, if I like once a day, every single day, that's going to compound into a huge mistake that's going to come and bite me in the ass. And the best way that book described it is, you know, elephants don't bite, the big things don't bite, it's mosquitoes that bite, right? So you need to watch out for what those little things are. And I'd say the 3rd book that I read that really helped me kind of grow my mindset is Sell or Be Sold. Okay, so it's a book by Grant Cardone. I believe personally everybody should learn the skill of sales, because you're always selling yourself, right? Like if you're in a relationship with a girl, you know, you got a gorgeous girl, you know, you're always selling yourself to her on why you are the perfect man for her, right? You're going to an interview and, you know, you're asking for a job, you're selling yourself to that person on why you're the most perfect, you know, candidate. It's no different in business, it's no different, you know, to your parents, it's no different to anything that you do in life. Is pretty much sales, and the better that you can learn to influence and persuade, the more successful I personally believe, and I've seen from experience, you're gonna be. 4th book, actually, it's How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. So everything I've just shared with you on the matter of learning how to communicate effectively, get your points across without shouting, you know, doing everything in a clean and effective way, you'll learn from that book. So invest into yourself. That's point number 2. Number 3 is network. Okay, I know this sounds cliche as hell, but everybody says your network is your net worth, and that's so true. Okay, like everywhere I go, I'll get upgraded on flights for free, I'll get upgraded on hotels, you know, everything that you want somebody else has. You just need to find a way to provide enough value to that person and get what you want in return. Okay, and the stronger connections that you build, like I got over 10,000 different contacts in my phone, and if I need anything done, it's one phone call away. And that, I think that's one of the most powerful skills that you can build, right? And going back to point number, you know, 2, when you really begin investing into yourself and learning skills like effective communication, you know, sales, persuasion, it becomes so much more easier to network, and everything becomes like a doorway for you, a pathway, right? Every single person I ever meet, you know, I always sit down and build a good connection. One of the greatest ways to really network, okay, is something I like to call the 80-20 rule, right? When you engage in conversation with somebody who's where you want to be, right, you want to only do 20% of the talking and you want to do 80% of the listening. And the 20% of the talking that you do, ask questions about. Because if there's one thing about human psychology that people absolutely love, it's talking about themselves. Okay, so I'm on this YouTube channel right now, but nonetheless, I'm joking, I'm not really on this YouTube channel to talk about myself. I want to provide a bunch of value to you guys, but nonetheless, like if you really take the time to sit and find out, you know, what somebody's interests are, you know, what they're good at, how they discovered it, right, why are they so passionate about these things, and you just openly listen to what they have to say, you're gonna pick up a lot of gems. You're gonna shortcut your learning curve in a lot of different things. Like, give you an example, when I walked into the gym, the guy who became my trainer, I just saw him training, right, and I just asked to kind of jump in with one of his sets, and we just started a conversation. And then, you know, I started to ask him, hey, look, you got a great physique, you know, what kind of workouts do you stick to, what's your diet like, and how long did it take you to get here? And in that conversation, I ended up getting a free training session. Okay, so he added value to me, and then as a result, I became a long-term client, and I trained with him for a year straight, right? So, and in that, you know, I got really good hookups, connections through him in the fitness industry, but also in the business industry. At events I've been to, you know, I would walk into the room, be one of the youngest people, but one thing I'd always make sure to do is speak to the speakers, right? Speak to the guys on the stage, ask them, you know, what you're doing, you know, how did this start out for you, and really dig deep with the questions I wanted to ask them, and, you know, offer them something in return. You know, hey, I got you this personalized pen, right? Another funny story, right? How I got this Rolex watch, right? Most of you guys watching this know that it's almost impossible to get a Rolex retail, okay? And if you do, you're gonna have to wait a ridiculously long time. Now, I shouldn't be saying this on video, but just an exclusive for you subscribers, I didn't wait as long as the average person, because the guy at Rolex, I built such a great connection with him, okay? And he's like, look, I like like you guys, okay, a lot more than, you know, other people that kind of come in and so on and so forth. So I'm gonna do you guys a favor and kind of hook you guys up. So I still had to wait a long time, but it wasn't half as long as what other people might wait. And again, like, these are connections that you build, right? When it comes to business, marketing, anyone, like, I always make sure that you look after people and they will look after you. And it's one of the best strategies that you can use to build an unbreakable network. Number 4 is learn a skill to grow your income. You know, I think there's 3 key things that you always need when it comes to growing your income. Number 1 is learn how to get money. Number 2 is learn how to keep/stack money, right? And number 3 is learn how to multiply the money that you have, right? And there's multiple ways that you can do this. So give you an example, like when I first started, I was like 14, and one of the very first days where I had like a £200-300 day, which is like $200-300 at the time, which was huge for me, right, was building a website. So, you know, I remember we were sitting in IT class and the teacher was like, hey, this is how you build a website. Went on a simple drag and drop website builder, and I met this old couple who had a business. They were selling something to do with gardening, right? And they didn't have a website, but they were looking to get one built. And I said, you know, I learned a skill because I read this book called the Sales Bible back then. And when I picked up that book and started reading it, you know, I started to learn, like, okay, people want something, they got a problem. When you solve it, you can get paid for it. So I very quickly realized this couple's a little bit older. They're not so great with computers. They've told me that they kind of struggle with this stuff. So maybe I can offer them to build their website in exchange for some cash, okay? So I built their website and they paid me like £300. And at the time, that was a lot of money for me, okay? Like, I was so excited. I was like, I just made £300 in a single weekend of just building a website. And when I got paid, I realized I don't need somebody else to pay me as long as I can bring my skills to the table, right? And now get paid. And I used that money and invested it, right? And I didn't like invest it into stocks or crypto or none of that stuff. I just bought a better laptop, right? So I can build and design more websites and get paid more, right? So that's make money. You know, I didn't stack it back then, but I definitely invested it to be able to multiply the amount of cash I was getting, right? And then as I started to make more and more, then I would kind of buy event tickets, right, to business events and try and network. See how they all coming together? I'll try and network with people who also were missing websites. And now, because I designed a couple, I would show them, look, I built this website for Donna, right? I built this website for this person, built this website for this person. You don't seem to have a website, right? How comes you don't have one? And when I'd ask them these questions, it would kind of reveal to me, you know, I'm too busy. I don't have time to build a website. I don't have the know-how, you know. And I would say, like, look, what is it costing you not to have a website? You know, what do you do every time a client tells you, where's your website? And they'll be like, oh, you know, I know this is something I need. And right then and there, I'd kind of offer my services, you know, cut them a nice little deal and just pretty much get paid to design websites. And in doing that, I was able to stack more and then reinvest that into learning more skills, like how to sell, you know, how to create digital courses, you know, how to create online coaching programs and meet the right people. That's helped me get to where I am today. So learn how to, you know, make money, keep money, and then multiply that money, okay? Best skill that can put you 10 years ahead of your peers if you begin to start implementing it today. So if you do the first 4 correctly by now, you know, getting fit, investing into yourself, learning the right skills, networking, like these are the core foundations that you're, you know, using to really get ahead, then number 5 will kind of naturally fall into place at this point, because it's like an organization of all those things that you're basically doing, right? So I'll give you an example. For me, the most important thing is my calendar. Like, my calendar is booked every single day, you know, forever and ever, right? Like, we could go back years, but everything's scheduled in, right? So I'll follow, like, typically I'll follow like a very strict schedule, because 2 of the best quotes I heard is, number 1, success is in your routine, right? Number 2, if you don't run your day, then your day runs you, right? So I found the best way to eliminate distractions, the best way to really like give yourself focused, channel time that's gonna allow you to get ahead of most people, get ahead of your competition, okay, get ahead of your peers, is building a disciplined routine. You know, if you study some of the most successful athletes, look at Cristiano Ronaldo. You know, he knows exactly what he's gonna eat, what time of the day he's gonna eat, how often he's gonna train. Like, it's a level of professionalism, right? So when you're working on yourself, getting ahead, whether it's building your business, whether it's building the right skills, whether it's networking to build the right network to allow you to get ahead, the most important thing that you could ever do is, you know, build a very disciplined routine. You know, my wife will get mad at me sometimes because I'm always too strict with my routine. I'll wake up, first thing on my mind is I need to get myself to the gym, get the difficult thing out the way, right? Then it's, okay, I need to have a conversation with my business partner to see, all right, what's next, right? What's the next big project that we're working on? How are we gonna take over the world, okay? And then after that, it's straight to the office, and I'll always make sure that my appointments are scheduled in, right? Like my PA, she'll make sure my schedule is full with income producing activities, you know, people who are inquiring about, you know, wanting to buy my products and my services. And, you know, blank spaces on your calendar is the devil's work, okay? No joke. I remember I read this book called The 10X Rule by Grant Cardone, and he said blank spaces on your calendar is the devil's work. If you want to see the devil, put blank spaces on your calendar, and that couldn't be further from the truth. Because, you know, when I was 14, you know, struggling, broke, trying to first learn how to build my business, I had no discipline, I had no routine to follow, and I'd find myself kind of just doing sporadic actions, which would lead to no result. But when I had like a focused daily repetition of tasks, it allowed me to get in the hours of focused activity that I needed to build momentum, and then momentum led to results, and results led to profitability in different areas, man. Whether it's the gym, whether it's, you know, my business, whether it's personal life, even like it's so important to even schedule time in with your partner, right? Whether that's your wife, your girl, whoever, but, you know, make time for yourself first, right? Sometimes, you know, to get to a high level of success, you got to be a little bit selfish and kind of, you know, really take out the time to schedule in, all right, is my fitness check, right? Is my money situation check? Am I getting that cash in my business? You know, is my mindset check? Is my network check, right? And only once these things are checked, then you should kind of reward yourself and give yourself that pleasure. And I've noticed that a lot of people in their 20s today, you know, a lot of people in general, you know, kind of put pleasure first and then put the discipline, the routine, you know, the things that they're supposed to be doing afterwards. And that usually leads to procrastination and a lack of result, okay? So these are the core 5 things that you need to really get ahead in your 20s today. If you relate to content like this, if you want more videos and you find these kinds of videos helpful, smash that subscribe button and turn your bell notifications on.